The Seattle Kraken undefeated no more.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Seattle hockey fans, welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. Erica L. Ayala here, your host of Locked On Kraken, also an accredited media member for Milano Cortina. That's right, I will be in Italy come the top of the year, end of January, and excited to see who from this Kraken roster or from Kraken rosters past will represent their respective countries. First, I gotta let you know today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, the Seattle Kraken did suffer their first loss of the season. That's right. The Seattle Kraken suffered their first loss of the season. And while that's good news, and we know that we got to take things in stride, it's only game 3, getting ready for game 4 on Friday. There are some things to be excited about, perhaps. The Kraken making some history while they are on a losing streak. While their winning streak, while their winning streak has come to an end, their unbeaten streak. I mean, that's kind of the soccer way of putting it. That's a little ridiculous to me. But their points streak continues. They fall in overtime to Montreal, had to come back 3 different times. I did a quick video for social media where I talked about that's definitely a bright spot, a positive here. But there are a lot of things that this Kraken team needs to clean up. Some of my favorite things, though, we'll talk about when it comes to this team. And then we'll get you out of here with just talking a little bit about the Seattle Kraken practicing in their all black gear. That's for the bioluminescence and, the Abyss Awakens and all of that stuff we can get into. But let's break down this Montreal game just a little bit. As I mentioned on the last episode, we knew this was going to be an emotional night for Montreal. We knew that this was going to be a night where there was going to be a lot of fanfare here. The Seattle Kraken, though, they give up the first goal in the first frame. They scored 2 in the second, 2 in the third. And they had a lead late in this game, but couldn't hold on to it. Ultimately lose 5-4 to the Montreal Canadiens. And for me, positives, you get a Jani Nyman goal, you get a power play goal. They were 1 of 4 on the power play. They only gave up 2 power play opportunities, no power play goals. So that means the penalty kill is doing its job. But there were also some things that absolutely have to change in this game. I love that McCann gets another goal, so he's got the hot streak. That being said, my favorite goal was probably the Jamie Oleksiak goal. I know, kind of crazy to say, huh? But the Jamie Oleksiak goal is probably my favorite, and in the next segment, I'll break down why. I think that we're going to hear from Lane Lambert in a little bit here, but listen, the issues are prevalent and are very Kraken crap, as we have said. I haven't had to say that too much this season. I mean, all of last season was Kraken crap. I think that and again, you'll hear Lane Lambert say this, but I've been saying it. I know in our comments, people have been saying it, that this is just a team that still has some habits that they have to fix. On the bright spot of it, or on the positive spin that you can take, is that, again, this was only game 3. They're playing against Ottawa game 4 tomorrow. They get an overtime win against Vegas, but this is still a team that has some bad, nasty habits that they have to figure out. We didn't see as much success in the net front or getting guys to the net as I think the Kraken want. Jani Nyman's goal, probably the closest. Jamie Oleksiak's goal was from way downtown, so to speak, outside the house. That being said, they gave up a lot in front of net, and that is displayed if you check out the heat maps over on Natural Stat Trick. But again, I'll talk a little bit more about that. For me, the name of the game here is just clean up. They've got to be able to clean up some gnarly habits, bad habits. If we look at the instant analysis from Allison Lucan, not a quality start from either goaltender. But there are definitely some things that we like here. Offensive zone time slightly higher for the Seattle Kraken than Montreal. The first period was really just both teams kind of feeling it out, not a lot of coordination. We need better starts, but puck in the O-zone, 38.3% for the Seattle Kraken to 37% for Montreal. 5-on-5 defense, entry denial percentage favor slightly goes to the Kraken at 57.1% to 53.8%. Same with exits, 74% to 71.9%. Now, if we look at the NHL.com stats and we look at the summary, something that Ian and Allison were talking about, I did get to watch the TV broadcast for this one, but Ian and Allison were talking about the giveaways. Giveaways total for the Seattle Kraken, 14, and there were some big giveaways. Chandler Stevenson, just a hope pass, as Tato had sometimes says, basically a pass, a blind pass, an ill-timed, unfortunate pass. 14 giveaways for the Seattle Kraken, basically turnovers, and 13 giveaways for the Canadiens. So not a clean game for them either. I told you on yesterday's episode I wanted to see the physicality still there. 32 hits for the Seattle Kraken compared to 25 for Montreal. Again, 25%, 1 of 4 on the power play. So not terrible, but still, not great. Again, not a quality start for Joey Daccord. Some other things that Allison noted, are that, and things that we like. Ryan Lindgren and Freddie Gaudreau earned their first points, both with an assist, as members of the Seattle Kraken. Jani Nyman, he had 2 scoring chances. He was off of the rush. He scored again. I talked about that, and he scored his first of the season. We were looking maybe for some theatrics from Brandon Montour, as we've seen in the past. Didn't quite get that. All 4 of the Kraken's lines earned a positive advantage in terms of shot volume. So that's something that I talked about on yesterday's episode, wanting to see them do a little bit better when it comes to that. The Beniers line had a positive shot quality differential of 53.64%. Same for Gaudreau's line. And the line with Gaudreau, Cartier, and Newman created 50.9% of all shot quality in 6.46 minutes of ice time. Now, I want to stop here because on YouTube, I had a commenter talk about, Jani Nyman, kind of agreeing with regard to Jani Nyman, and I guess our guys over Dylan and RJ at Emerald City Hockey talked about it, and it's Willie Hockey says that they kind of dismissed it as him not adjusting to the new system yet. I mean, I'm sure that's a little bit of the thing there, but what I was saying yesterday is my hunch was that he maybe wasn't doing things defensively that the team wanted, but it turns out we did hear from Jessica Campbell in between periods, I think at the second intermission, and similarly to how she set up goals for Maddie Beniers, Year of Beniers, is going strong, might I add. But it seems like the ask for Jani is to be net front more, and he did get to the net, and that's how he scored the goal. The goal was deflected off of his skate. No kicking motion as far as I could tell. It was not reviewed, so there you go. And so it seems like that's a little bit of the ask there. So the hope is that this gives him a little bit of confidence. So will we see a little bit more time for Jani Nyman? You know, does he fit somewhere other than that fourth line? I don't think so right now. But we'll see. You know, I'm going to read some of your comments throughout because I really like them. We have Army Veteran 19, Willie Hockey, George C. Kraken responding on YouTube. We also had some TikTok comments. I don't have my phone's over there somewhere, so I'm not going to read those for today's episode, but we have another episode that we will be recording, so we can get into that. Also, so, you know, we do have an episode. We're going to have Joe and Amy join us. Or we're going to have Joe and Ava join us. Friday's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about PWHL Seattle, and that will get you ready for the women's hockey report on Saturday morning. But I want to talk about PWHL Seattle. So Ava and Joe are going to join us for that. But tomorrow, Thursday, I kept thinking today is Thursday. I don't know. My days are a little bit wonky. I've definitely had a little bit of a difficult time adjusting back to local time. So yeah, bear with me, feeling the effects of jet lag. But you know, I want to get into, as we continue on today's episode, some bright spots, areas for improvement, do a deeper dive there, and then again talk a little bit about that all black practice. Blackety black. That's a different kind of black. But anyway, the gear, because we have the bioluminescence, the Abyss Awakens officially next month, and so the guys are getting ready to show off the sick unis, and we'll get into that. Oh my gosh, I keep playing with my hair because my hair is growing outside of my hats. It's time to get a haircut. Anyway, you know how I feel about that awkward middle. I've used that analogy a few times here to talk about the Seattle Kraken, but you know, I think we're getting to a place where, you know, it's like we're getting used to the length, and now it's just about a light dusting, as my hairdresser would say. Sometimes you just need a light dusting, you know, clean up some of the split ends, get your shape back, and then you're looking flawless and fabulous. And that's what we want for the Kraken, and I think it can happen. And you know, all signs point to them being able to do that, so we'll get into that coming up on today's episode. Coming up next, we'll hear from Lane Lambert and a little bit from the big rig himself when it comes to bright spots and areas for improvement. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Listen, we know the NHL season is here, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and you get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, when I take a look at FanDuel, I'm usually looking at different odds, whether it's for a specific game or for the playoffs overall. Playoff odds, kind of a future bet here. You got a plus 340 for the Kraken to even make the playoffs. When it comes to tomorrow's game against Ottawa, they are the plus 150, if I remember correctly here. Yep. Or excuse me, they are plus 1.5, the Seattle Kraken. And another cool thing, I'm looking at it now, is that you can also take a look at the odds, and they have these little boxes. If the game is live, they'll tell you what bet is in the green is looking good, and is there an odd that's already maybe not so great, and then you can take your chances when it comes to that. But FanDuel, again, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started. Thank you for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. Whether we're your first listen of the day, your late night listen, your midday listen, we appreciate you. The Seattle Kraken, again, fall to Montreal. They do get the overtime point. We do get some guys activated like Nyman. Again, Oleksiak's goal, chef's kiss. What I loved about it is we're seeing some coordination. I don't think technically, let's see. I don't know that it counts as a power play goal or even was a power play scenario for Oleksiak, but I can't remember exactly what was going on there. The reason I thought it was a power play is because it was a set play and there were kind of these two screens. It was Beniers and somebody else. And you kind of see the guys waiting and anticipating Jamie's shot from deep. And he just waited for the perfect time. And then he shot going back or in the opposite direction of where his teammates were going. I love to see, and we do have different personnel just period, but specifically on special teams, and I think you're seeing the elevation. The guys are executing differently on the power play. Maybe a conversation we can get into for another day. I do think that was the right move. I've talked about before. I love Jessica Campbell. And the fact that she can do things like really sit and problem solve, future plan, set goals with the guys. I think that there were opportunities for continued growth when it came to the power play. And those were things that we knew even during her time in Coachella Valley. So stabilizing that a little bit more under Lambert, I think is a good thing. And the Oleksiak goal for me is a perfect example just overall. But again, we're seeing them meet success a little bit more regularly, which comparative to last year, not a high bar, but on the power play. Let's hear from Jamie Oleksiak and then a little bit from Lambert as we continue on today's show. Oleksiak again scored my favorite goal of the night. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite goal. But I just think that, again, first of all, I love it when defenders score, and the goal that he was able to score just, it was a good team goal. That's why I really liked it. But we'll hear from Oleksiak first, and then I want you to hear from Lambert because he immediately broke down what he knows needs to be fixed with this team. Again, I think he identifies right away areas for improvement. And I think he had an interesting comment that I agree with, honestly. And I'm glad that he kind of kept it real when it comes to, okay, I know this is our first loss and some of what hasn't been working, that's not necessarily new, which, I mean, again, I like that he can keep it real. But let's hear from Jamie Oleksiak here, and then we will continue on with the show.
Responded well to adversity, obviously not the result we wanted, but I think we stuck to our guns and fought back hard, and, I think there's some good we can take away, some things we can clean up as well, but I think our mentality was pretty good overall. I think I think we just got to focus on the next game. I don't think we can get too high here. Break down the video, see what we can improve upon, look at the positives, and head to Ottawa here and have a big game there.
So Jamie saying that, things in the defensive zone need to be better. Again, the Stevenson giveaway, he just wasn't looking. Blind pass, don't love it. Giveaways, just leaving Joey Decord out to dry. The overtime goal, when I saw that Joey didn't completely seal the post, for me, it goes back to a few things. One, how we saw Montreal, attack earlier in the game. And I think they made good adjustments to be nimble and to change things up at opportune times for them. But it pointed out to me that Joey has had to cheat. He's used to having to do that. And I think that even one of the goals, I forget which one, but McCann maybe a little bit late to get body to body, but he gets the stick up of one of the players, and then bounces off of a skate. What can you do in that situation? He played it as well as he could. The next evolution, though, for the Seattle Kraken is to get in better position and not expose Joey Daccord so much backdoor, which he is used to time in and time out. And so he kind of leans a little bit, and there was just enough space where that puck was able to tap in. Honestly, even though that's my read on it, and I do think he cheated a little more instead of kind of scrunching up and taking away that space, there was, and I think JT did a great job explaining this, there was only so much space, and Montreal found the perfect, they found the perfect, I think that was, now I'm confusing myself. I'm pretty sure that was the overtime goal. Well, it was one of the goals. And the point is that I want this Kraken team to really focus backdoor, because it's been a problem in the past. It hasn't been something at least publicly identified, but I talk about it all the time because I love defense, and you have to be able to put yourself in a good position and put your goaltender in. Now, it's not going to always happen. Sometimes backdoor is going to be exposed, especially in an overtime situation. What can you do? But let your goalie feel confident in playing straight up and not cheat. And you got to stay and stick with those habits, and you live with the results if it doesn't happen that way. So I don't want Joey feeling like he has to cheat too much. Play it straight up, play for the first save, and don't think so much about the next one. Or at least it's easy to nitpick in that situation, because that was the goal, and I think it was either the goal to tie or the goal to win. I can't remember right now. And I didn't actually, hold on, I do have a notebook here. Ellie Tolvanen had an opportunity right in the house, point blank, and it just, he got a little handcuffed, couldn't lift the puck, but that was a really good opportunity. Either way, my point is that was my observation. Now, maybe that's not what Joey would say about it, but I'm like, I wonder if he's cheating a little just because we've been exposed backdoor, and truly have. But good on Montreal for recognizing that they were able to go backdoor earlier in the game, have that in the opposing goaltender's head, and then you make a different choice the next time. So good gamesmanship by Montreal. I want to see better habits from the Seattle Kraken, and that's ultimately what we heard from Lane Lambert as well. Let's hear a little bit about what he had to say after this loss.
Yeah, well, for the most part, yeah. What happened tonight, the effort was outstanding. I thought we did a lot of good things. There's a lot of positives from that game. We made some mistakes, and those mistakes ended up in the back of our net tonight, whereas maybe in games 1 and 2 they didn't. And structural, systematic mistakes that we have no business making those mistakes. You can't do that and win hockey games consistently. So, again, we'll learn from it, and we'll build off the positives, and we got to be better in a couple of different areas here on Thursday. There's certain guys that we feel gel well together, and it's unfortunate because when the guy went into our goaltender, we had a 2-on-1 going back the other way. So could have been a bit of a different story, but we'll build from the positives of the game and move forward. Oh, we were playing hard, and we were playing hard right from the get-go. If you look at the chances in the game, we outchanced them 5-on-5. So I thought we did a great job of coming prepared, understanding what we needed to do in the first, certainly in the first 10 minutes when they come out hard in their building. And I thought we battled. I give our guys full credit for battling.
So a lot of things said there, including a little bit of a slight to the officials. What he's talking about there is Joey Decord gets run into, not an intentional play by any stretch of the imagination, a hockey play for sure. But he talked about how there was a breakaway going the other way, and, you do the work there and you don't get to execute. But speaking of execution, that was the folly of the Kraken. Piper Shots started by saying that that's what Jaden Schwartz had identified, and Lane Lambert agreed, and I agree. He liked the energy, he liked the effort, but the execution was lacking. And so it's something that we'll talk about tomorrow as we get ready for Ottawa. Tomorrow being Thursday. I don't know. I thought today was Thursday. A later start again for me here. Not feeling my best, but I've got my tea. Here. So hopefully I'll be on the up and up for tomorrow. But let's close out the show with we got to see the guys wearing their setups that they will have for the third jersey night. I'll play you that video in case you forgot what our third jerseys are going to be looking like. And then I'll just give you my thoughts on the setups from what I saw on social media. And then we'll get you out of here so I can get some rest, so you can get some rest, and the Kraken have a game day tomorrow. Can't wait to get into all of that on the next episode. But first, a look at, or my thoughts on, the matte black helmets and everything else to go with the third jerseys, the menacing third jerseys. We'll get into that coming up. Mentioned it at the top of the show. Today's episode also brought to you by Game Time. We know hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. The app gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Now, I love using Game Time because, again, you can toggle to make sure you see the all-in prices so you can ball on a budget. You can see exactly what your view will be like from the seats that you're thinking about, so you're not buying tickets and you're sitting behind a random pillar or something wild like that. Or like, you know how sometimes at baseball arenas you got that slant, and so you're like awkwardly in the corner. Like, don't put baby in the corner. And take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets, concert tickets, etc. with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. All right, Seattle hockey fans, thanks again for joining us on Locked on Kraken. We're going to close out this episode just giving you some thoughts about the setup at practice for the Seattle Kraken wearing their all black accoutrements. Accoutrements, probably not the best use of that word, but accessories, I guess. I know, listen, accessories are a word that are gender neutral. Just because you associate them, if you are, with a certain gender, that's on you, babes. That's on you. Anyway, let's talk about the all black gear, but first a reminder what these third jerseys will look like with a promo video.
Stevenson right in a shot.
And so we saw the guys on social media breaking in their new gear. Makes total sense. We know that next month the Abyss awakens. And that is because the Seattle Kraken have a third alternate jersey. And the first game in their Made to Menace sweaters is November 1st at home against the New York Rangers. And so the guys were able to break out that gear at practice. I like the matte helmet for sure. We saw the goalies set up. We know that there's the bioluminescence, right? AKA a glow in the dark element. And that's why I know Emerald City Hockey, probably circling Seattle sports, they noted the change at center ice. There's also a new entry tunnel that a few of us noticed. We were like, what is that extra stuff in the rafters during preseason? Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because the center ice logo is changed to black. I'm almost positive because they want it to match with the bioluminescence that we will see for the first time in action on November 1st. So I'm excited for these. I've seen the jerseys up close, haven't been able to really get a good touch, feel, look, see for the glow in the dark. I just, even from a distance, I can definitely tell the difference between Fanatics and Adidas. Not a big Fanatics fan. They've had some controversial unis. On the baseball side in particular, I'm thinking, so there's that element of it, but they do look super cool. So I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but let me know if you do you have one of the third jersey alternates? Do you like it? What do you not like about it? And I can't wait to see the full setups. All right, I am about to sneeze, so we're gonna close out this episode. A reminder to be kind to yourself and extend that kindness to others. We're going to hold fast. We're going to stay true, and loud and proud we say, let's go Kraken, especially tomorrow on a game day. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.